To be honest, we spent a lot of money. I didn't even realize. So the grand total is $5,000. What's going on, everybody? Ratchet Wrench is back for another video. Today, we've done videos like this in the past where we kind of just sit down and talk, but we're going to be talking about the Mustang following our last video. If you guys haven't seen, we had a little bit of an issue after the tuning, but we actually ended up finishing that. This car's ready to go. Unfortunately, we got some snow and it's brutal out.
It is brutal.
We're probably going to film the reveal video probably this weekend, as long as we don't get any snow, because we really want to make sure that's perfect and take our time, get multiple shots, drone shots, all that stuff, and make it the best possible video. So today, as you can tell by the title, this is pretty much going to be a review / a price breakdown. Wes over here has got all the paperwork, all the invoices, and to be honest, we spent a lot of money. I didn't even realize, but we spent a lot of money to get this thing where we want it for now. But yeah, let's just start breaking it down. We have two different groups. We're going to pretty much do obviously the price of the kit, and then what's required, and then pretty much optional, the highly suggested add-ons that we recommend and which we went on and did. So without further ado, I guess we'll do a first breakdown of the required stuff, including the kit.
Yeah, let's do it. Alright, so let's just dive right into this price breakdown. Just want to give a big shout out to Cody Queensberry right off the bat. His company is Straight Line Solutions, if you guys don't know. He's pretty big in the Mustang community and coming up. He's a very good guy, definitely willing to help you out and give you some good deals, and he's very knowledgeable. So he basically helped us out with ordering everything. His shipping's extremely fast and just an overall good dude, so check him out if you don't know him. But the On3 single turbo kit is $2,600, so that's $600. So that's just the kit. You get the, I believe, 70mm turbo. You get all the intercooler piping, the intercooler. You get the hot side and all the accessories, nuts and bolts for the most part.
The exhaust, the couplers, right?
Right.
All that.
Yep. So also they have a mass airflow TIG service. So they weld a little plate on for you to connect your mass airflow sensor on the intake kind of charge pipe going up to the throttle body, which we ended up doing. It was $65, which I think is pretty reasonable. We don't have a welder, we don't have experience welding, so if you don't, great idea.
Yeah, if you're not a very good fabricator or anything, to get, you don't want to have any holes in that or have any gaps, because it is measuring the the airflow. Definitely right. Just spend the extra couple bucks and get it welded in there, so you can just drop it in and plug and play.
Right, so the shipping on the kit, I think that's standard, costs $159, so that's, probably not too bad overall. The kit came in, I think, 3 boxes. It was a lot, actually, so that's not bad. Also, you're going to need, in the required section, so your fuel system, you're going to need bigger injectors, and you're going to need a bigger fuel pump. So we went with FIC Signature Series 60-pound injectors. I think On3 recommends 40 or 45 at a minimum, and then you got obviously go up depending on your power goals. But FIC is a very, very good brand. Those set us back $459. So that seems like a lot, but
you got 8 of them. So.
Right, you got 8, and your fueling is extremely critical for turbo applications, as well as the fuel pump. I know a lot of people do the 340 liter per hour fuel pump. We've actually had a 290 liter per hour fuel pump in the car for a while, and that's good up to about 600 horsepower, and that's been holding up just fine, so we're going to keep that in there. So the fuel pump was $217, and I think the 340 is obviously going to set you back a little more. So
and just to reiterate, we did that a while ago. If you guys, we do a lot of tutorials on this channel. If you're just stopping by, we'll link that video up above. It's a really easy tutorial on how to change the fuel pump. It's pretty easy. And then also, if you haven't been following the turbo build, we'll try and link up the videos supporting the injectors. We have that in one video, so we'll link that above. We pretty much did almost a step-by-step on this whole turbo build. We broke it down in multiple videos, so we'll put those above now. But continue on, Wes.
Yep.
So far, pretty expensive.
Yeah, speaking of on the track of fueling and air and all that, you're going to need a wideband. That's very crucial for this kit and basically any boosted application on these cars. So we went with the AEM wideband, which was $195. Cody and other people did recommend AEM is a good brand overall. I do like their gauges. It's all digital and it's got a really cool color scheme. It's like the green, yellow, red kind of thing. It's sick. Definitely check them out. And last but not least is the you're gonna need a tubular K-member, coilovers, and the A-arms and all that stuff, suspension components. So this kit is actually built around the company UPR, which they sell a kit which comes with all the coilover components, the springs, the tubular K-member, and the A-arms for $770, which isn't too terrible. There's other companies like Maximum Motorsports. I don't think they would fit though, and other companies that are more expensive. The other option that is popular with this kit is Team Z. They're a little better quality from what I've heard, but honestly UPR is pretty good. I haven't had any complaints yet. So that's $770.
So just pretty much to touch up on what he was saying, the UPR gives a coilover kit. It's not like a whole shock and everything. It's more just components to convert your standard shock into a coilover setup.
Yep.
We lowered the car a while ago on iBox Sport suspension, so we ended up just using that. If you have OEM ones, maybe look down the line to get pretty much a different brand shock just to compensate for the more sportier, heavy-duty, lower lifestyle. But
yeah,
like I said, you could do that on OEM, but we had iBox, so we just converted them into coilovers.
Yeah, I would say that's basically required. You don't want to run a stock setup on a lowered car like this.
Yeah, especially if you had the stock on. I mean, this had what, 106,000 miles, something like that,
yeah,
give or take. So it's nice to, while you're down there, you might as well upgrade the shocks. They're not that expensive, and it's a win-win. You don't want to go back in there down the line. We have a blown shock, especially with the coilover setup.
Yep. Some more required components is going to be you're going to have to drain the oil and the oil relocation filter whole assembly. You're basically going to be relocating the filter off the engine block to wherever you want. So they give you lines required for that, but we'll get into that a little later. Mm-hmm. The oil plus the filter, we went with Motorcraft 5W50. It's a thicker oil. It's pretty good for boosted applications because this engine gets a lot hotter and the turbo is running really hot. So you want something that isn't just hot water running around in your engine. So that's thicker. The filter, we went with the Motorcraft FL1A, I believe. That's a bigger filter, so it holds more oil. And all that together was $104. It's pretty steep from the dealer, but like I said, you gotta pay to play. So that's how it goes.
And definitely don't cheap out on the oil because you got that running through the the turbocharger and everything. So you want to make sure you get the thick required weight for it.
Yep, and speaking of the turbo and everything revolving around that, the turbo needs to drain. I would say most people weld it from what I've seen on forums, but you can also drill and tap is what we did. So you're gonna need basically a drill and tap set. We got it from Harbor Freight. You can get it from any local auto parts store. That's $30. That's gonna allow you to get into the oil pan and make threads for the bung and attach everything there. So that's $30.
Right here.
Yep.
Just a little tap and die set. Mm-hmm. Just to drill into the oil pan, so that gives you, like he was saying, that return line. So now you can have that turbo, cycling oil.
Yep. So what's next? You're gonna need some kind of breather or catch can system for the valve cover where the venting happens. So you're gonna have to remove all the stock tubing from there, and we just went with 2 breathers from our local auto parts store, which was like $25. I know a lot of people run catch cans, which is definitely not a bad idea. We'll probably do that eventually, but for now that works fine.
And we'll link all this stuff that we can down below, so if you want to check it out in the description. The breathers, for example, they're not that expensive. We'll link it. We'll probably do an Amazon link. You can get them for pretty cheap. Just a universal breather.
Yeah.
And that's you go to Harbor Freight or online, but like I said, we'll link everything down below.
Mm-hmm. Also vacuum lines. You're going to need vacuum lines. On3 does offer some vacuum lines, not with the kit. You have to pay extra. That's not a bad option actually, so definitely check on their website. Pretty good quality stuff. And other companies, I think like Vibrant Performance, they probably have some good stuff as well. So that really doesn't have a price. We're going to just say it varies because you can buy really good stuff, you can buy cheaper stuff.
And they most of the time they charge by length, so it depends on how you want to route up the hoses to determine the price. So we're not really going to put a price on that, but to be honest, it's not that expensive per foot. So just
Another thing is copper RTV or some kind of sealant for your exhaust manifold, the headers, and then where the turbo mounts up to the merge pipe. Everything basically, the V-bands you want to copper seal because they will leak if you don't do it properly and without some kind of sealant. That's, you know, $7-8 at your local auto parts store.
Definitely do that because the On3 turbo sleeve clamps are very cheap and jotchy.
Horrible.
So we loaded it up with gasket maker.
Yeah, copper RTV or anything high temp to withstand the heat.
Yeah, so we put that there. You could eventually upgrade to stainless steel, more secure sleeve clamps, which we probably will do down the line because no matter how much you tighten it, it's gonna leak. It's just the way that everything's so bent. It's tough, but you know.
And next we can throw coolant. So you got to do a drain and refill. Coolant, you don't want to cheap out on either. I think we spent around $60 give or take. So that's another thing you got.
We got more than enough coolant. Like we got some laying around. So
got a lot.
You know, it really depends on how much you drain. I forget how much the spec is, but if you drain, you know, the whole block and everything, you'll need a good amount of coolant. I don't remember exactly, but something like that.
4.5 of the large containers, whatever that is. And then I think last but not least for required is going to be a filter or some kind of screen for your turbo. You want to protect whatever potentially could get sucked up into the turbo because if you know a rock gets in there, you're screwed. So filter is a very good option. On3 has an option for stainless steel for $45. That filter is pretty large, and I'll overlay a shot here. The way the coolant tube runs, the aftermarket one they provide, it kind of gets in the way. So a lot of people go with a stubby filter. They're really not that expensive. You could probably cut the price in half there. I actually just ordered a turbo screen. It's going to make it a lot cleaner appearance and not get in the way of anything. So definitely account for that. Not really expensive, like I said.
And also real quick, like he said, he did the screen. I think it just cleans up the engine bay. As you can see, that big filter just kind of, I don't know, just doesn't look like it belongs there. So if we give it a nice screen, which we ordered, it'll just kind of clean up that whole system and just make it look more, you know, hidden in a way. But yeah. That's
basically it for the required. So all that being said, required plus the kit, that is going to set you back $4,513. Now that is definitely not cheap, but it's not expensive. Like I think I mentioned earlier, I kind of did want a Ken Bell kit supercharger for this car, but first they're on back order for a very long time. Second of all, that kit starts at $5,500, so that's another $1,000 just to start. So all in all, when you're in the boosted game, you know, that's not terrible, but that's required. And now we're going to get into optional, which we kind of broke it down for, we recommend you doing this.
Yeah, it's definitely more optional, but definitely highly recommended.
Because unfortunately you will find out the hard way like we did.
So first things first, this is an extremely important optional / required required issue. This is what failed when we took it to the tuner, and actually pretty much everyone was saying this goes bad on there, and I think this is where On3 unfortunately cheaped out. But like we mentioned before, in the kit it comes with an oil relocation kit, and they provide you with little screw clamps and just a rubber hose. It's a reinforced rubber hose. The long story short is those clamps don't tighten down. You can tighten them down as much as you want, and they just blew up. It literally popped off, covered our whole engine in oil, the whole underside in oil. It was a nightmare. So that was our issue. We ended up going with some AN fittings and no more oil leaks. We don't have to worry about that line, you know, popping off under pressure. So that right there, definitely, before you even install it, put AN fittings on. We want to give the kit the benefit of the doubt and really try and put it to the test. And fortunately, we put it to the test on one little test drive, and it popped off. So AN fittings is a must for that oil relocation kit. That cost us about $95.
Everything was from Amazon. I think it's Evil Twin or something like that. They're a pretty good company, and it's relatively cheap. So definitely do it.
Yeah, definitely do that. Don't learn from our mistake and do it.
And it's on our optional list just because technically you can run it, you know, with
what On3
they provide, but
you know, we should have listened to everyone. But you know, hey, it is what it is. Next thing is a boost controller. We went with the E-Boost?
E-Boost 2, it's from TurboSmart.
We went exactly. And that was costly, but highly recommended as well. That was $572. That gives us, you know, the ability to change the boost and stuff like that, but we have it set where it's safely, you know, we won't blow up the turbo, blow up the bottom end or anything like that. So
yeah, I'll just add a little something too. You can basically run spring pressure from the wastegate, which is like 5 pounds or whatever, pretty safely, and I don't think you technically need a boost controller. If anything, On3 sells a little like cylinder piece which you can turn and adjust. Probably not.
That's a manual style, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all digital, electronic.
Right.
You just tap, you know, touch your buttons and stuff like that.
So if you got a built bottom end and you can turn it up, absolutely do an electronic boost controller, and that's the plans for this car, build the bottom end. So literally from in the car, we can just boop, boop, hit a couple buttons, turn up the boost and go.
You know, it's good for if you want to take this thing out on a weekend, you could lower the boost, drive it comfortably, but if you want to take it to the track, you could, you know, bunch it up and really get loose.
Yep.
Another thing that's optional is the dipstick. Do you know what was the brand of that?
I think the dipstick I got a while ago from when we did the long tube headers video. I'll link that up too. That was a good video. That was like $80 from CJ Pony Parts. I don't remember the brand exactly, but
it's pretty much a full aluminum style because you are running it through the manifold. The stock setup is pretty similar. We got this a long time ago because we had long tubes and it just would melt.
It was actually required for the long tubes.
Yeah, it was required for the long tubes because you couldn't run the stock dipstick. So this, we kind of manipulated up to the top and we could stick it through the manifold.
It's kind of like a braided aluminum in a way, so it can, you know, snake different ways. I'll definitely recommend it. It's good.
All right, so the next thing you're going to need is a vacuum block. It's about $61 and it's more on the recommended side because whenever you're running boost applications, it's just a boost reference point where you could put all the lines to it if you're running the boost controller or a boost gauge or anything like that.
Yeah, basically from my research, everyone kind of, well, not everyone, but a lot of people recommended it just because it's a centralized portion of where you can run all your lines, like Austin mentioned, versus if you tie into the manifold, you have to kind of pick and choose where you want to go off of, and some people say it's not accurate, so like, just from my research out, it's $60, you know, and you can tie everything centralized, so I think it's worth it.
It's a really, you know, easy system to install, so you might as well. This is, you know, a lot of people have different takes on this. We went with the heat wrap. We heat wrapped pretty much all the exhaust piping up into the cat back, and that was about $50. We ended up taking it off because, like I mentioned before, not our AN lines, but our oil lines from the oil relocation kit pretty much blew up, and that was literally those heat wraps were covered, no, not even covered, just soaked in oil. So every time we'd start this thing up, it smokes just because it's burning off that oil, and it's just so heat wrapped and tight, so it's trapped in there and it's taking forever. So we ended up removing that, but a lot of people say heat wrap kind of, you know, helps dissipate the heat soak in the engine. Some people say it's, you know, a myth, some people say it's accurate. So we ended up just going with it. Right now it's off. Probably put it back on though, right?
Probably.
I'd say.
Yeah. It's definitely something, I would recommend from what I've done research on. This kit is very, very tight. If you watch some of our previous videos, you can kind of tell in the front end. So it's definitely not a bad idea and a peace of mind because you got lines literally
power
either
steering lines
touching or like less than an inch away from everything, and if something can melt pretty easily. So
it's getting pretty hot. So
yep.
And then another thing going along with that heat, you know, dissipation and heat soak is a turbo blanket. That's $177. We went with the Heat Shield products. We'll link it down below. That was $177. We don't have that currently on the car. It's kind of a pain in the ass to get on.
People have their takes, like the same with the heat wrap. Some people say it's good to maintain the heat and keep it within the turbo so it essentially spools faster because there's hotter gases combusting, which makes sense if you're really pushing high power, which we're not pushing that high power. So yeah. So take it as you want, but it's another peace of mind.
Yeah, so that's definitely an optional one.
Yep.
Pretty much that's going to sum up all the optional / recommended, you know, parts. That right there set us back $1,035. So I mean, in the end, you don't have to spend all that. You could go different avenues, different boost controller, and so on and so on. But that's just what we did with our Mustang. So the grand total, as you can see on the screen, is $5,548 for this kit.
Ouch.
Yeah, it definitely stung. We're trying to make this Mustang one of the top 2 valves on YouTube. You know, we really want to get this thing to the stratosphere. You know, we're very appreciative of you guys, you know, commenting and following this build.
Yep.
Our Instagram's been taking off. A lot of 2-valve fans are really helping us out there. So
Big time.
You know, we really did this ultimately for Wes because it's his car, but for you in the end. So it's, you know, we're very grateful. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. And we got big things coming for this. You know, it's just the beginning. This is the beginning of the boosted life. I'll let Wes talk more because this is, you know, his pride and joy. And
Yeah. Just from the weather being shitty, I've really only driven it probably twice,
but he's had a smile on his face both times.
Absolutely.
Coming from a non-turbo, you know, non-turbo driver.
Yeah.
You know,
I can't even explain how it, like, just wait till the video, it's gonna be insane. But it coming from me, like, it's awesome, and we're just getting started, like Austin said. So once again, thanks for the support. But overall, what would you rate this kit? Like, and you know, the install and overall.
The kit without the add-ons, you're paying for what you get with the On3. I think they cheaped out definitely on a lot of things.
It's more of a budget
kit. They even
kit.
shorted us on some parts. Like they were supposed to give us brackets for the intercooler. They didn't give us that, which was kind of frustrating. So that was kind of a slap in the face. Not the end of the world because we went to Lowe's and made our own. But I just think that they could do a better job with some higher quality parts, like the hoses, for example. They're trying to it is what it is. You got to go with American-made stuff nowadays, especially when you're custom fabbing stuff. That's junk. But you know, do you have anything to add to that, or?
Yeah, overall the kit. If I had to give it a number scale, maybe I don't know, like a 6 out of 10. It's decent. Really, we'll give like a honest review, maybe 3-6 months once we've been driving it a lot, because we really haven't been driving it.
Yeah.
So overall, there's good things to upgrade, and there's some things you can kind of skate by with. But yeah, the install, kind of a pain in the ass, but I think it could have been worse.
Yeah.
If you're mechanically inclined, you can get through it. There's really not that great of directions. They do give you some directions, but really.
You're kind of just, honestly, we'll link the Facebook group down below, the On3 Turbo, because that had so many, you know, members that were very helpful and helped us, you know, go through this process, because like he said, the instructions are there, but they're not there. They're
yeah, if you have Facebook, make your friends apply for the group and do your homework before you buy the kit. Let me just tell you that.
So definitely, like we mentioned in the beginning, watch our videos. We tried to make it as, you know, user friendly and, you know, easy to follow. So you know, we did a lot of tutorials. So definitely, you know, check those back. I think that's really gonna wrap it up. I mean, overall, you know,
we're basically just under what a Kenny Bell would be starting, like brand new. So just take that as it is. And the power level generally from the 2.1 Ken Bell, which is maxed at like probably 500 horsepower, maybe a little more.
Is a lot, but
it's a lot. But this turbo can go to 600-700.
Yeah.
So.
Like we've mentioned as well, we want to build this bottom end, so we really want to shoot for some you know, streetable power.
Oh yeah,
we're not
700.
Yeah, 700. Yeah, that's doable. But I think that's pretty much gonna wrap up this video. We hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, comment any questions. We're trying to be as active as possible. We'll answer them when we can.
Yep.
If you want to get direct message with us, follow us on Instagram. That, you know, we really have access to that. We have our notifications on, so we'll answer as soon as we can. But thank you for watching, and we're out.
Stay tuned for the first drives. This is going to be gnarly.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. All right, peace.